Well, hey, Patty, this is Murphy. Hey, Dylan, I hope things are going great. Hope this didn't take too long. I had to delete the first part because I accidentally covered up the lens so you couldn't see anything. But anyways, the problem was when you have a negative under the square root, you cannot take the square root to get a real number. Because the square root of 9 is 3, that's easy because 3 times 3, you have two of the same things. But you can have two of the same things multiplied together to get a negative. Two negatives make a positive. Two positives make a positive. Mathematicians didn't like that. So they said, what we're going to do is make up a whole new number. And they called it I. And it equals the square root of negative 1. So to do this problem now, you break it up to the square root of 9, square root of negative 1. The square root of 9 is 3. And the square root of negative 1 is I. It's a theoretical number. So I always tell my kids, when you see a negative under the square root, you got to pop your eye out. Ha. Now I stands for imaginary. So we have real numbers, that means there's no I. We have imaginary numbers, meaning there's an I in the problem. So they put the two together and they called them complex. Because imaginary and real, wow, that sounds kind of difficult. It must be complex, which is an A plus BI. So if B is 0, it's real. You just have real numbers. If B is not 0, it's imaginary, has an I. Now the reason I bring this up is you got to know if I is the square root of negative 1, then I squared, the square root goes away, is negative 1. And I cubed would be negative 1. Well, let's do it this way. It'd be I squared times I, because when you multiply two things same base, you add the powers. And I'm really talking fast. I apologize. So 2 plus 1 is 3, and I squared is negative 1, so that's negative I. Now, you don't need to know this for today, but I to the fourth is 1, because it's I squared times I squared. And I squared is negative 1, so negative 1 times negative 1 is 1. You're going to have to memorize these, these four pretty quick. I am sorry. I bet, Patty, you're not really impressed with this video. I am better with usually. But these four you should memorize because you're going to need to know those pretty soon. But anyways, so whenever you see an I squared, you replace it or substitute it with negative 1. So here's the three problems you gave me. Now, whenever you have something next to parentheses, that means distribute it. So we need to distribute the 7 to both terms. 7 times minus 5. I hope I got that number right. If I didn't, I apologize. 7 times 4i is 28i. I? Plus 8i times negative 1 is negative 8i. And I'm going to put a parentheses just so you don't have plus minus right next to each other. And then 8i times minus 3i is minus 24i squared. Because I times I. Now, except for when you switch it, these four, you can think of these like x's. They work the same way. It's just when you have a power on your I, you got to substitute in what it's equal to. So what's x times x? X squared. Now I got to simplify this. I squared, what is I squared? I squared is, negative 1. Sorry, this is kind of dark. I got to move this table. I squared is negative 1. So every time you see an I squared, you substitute a negative 1. So this becomes negative 35. 28i minus 8i is 20i. And negative 24 times a negative 1 would be plus 24. So then we can combine this with this. So this would be minus 11. I hope I don't make any stupid mistakes. I don't want to lose your respect, Patty. Good. So whenever you see an I squared, you switch it, change the whole I squared with negative 1, substitute it in. So now they gave you a harder problem. Holy cow. I think they're interrogating us and want us to tell something. After doing this, we may just tell them, huh? Now, I might have to move this back and forth. I think I wrote a little bit too big. -3. Oh, now we're going to FOIL. So it's outer, inner, first, last. FOIL, first, outer, inner, last, if you want to be technical. So -3 times -6 is 18. -6 and 3i. So if you're first doing foiling, you draw the little rainbow. Minus 18i minus 6i is minus 24i. Then the last term of each, so I did the first, outer, inner, now the last, that would be 2 times 3 is 6, and they're both positive. I is I squared. Now I'm going to distribute this. First, -3 times -6. I hope I got this number right. I forgot as soon as I got in here. So that would be -3 times -6 is 18. Inner and outer. So it'd be -8. No, I've kind of lost my train of thought here. It's 18. 18i plus 15i is 33i. And -3i times -5i would be 15i squared. Well, it kind of sounds like ice cream, doesn't it? Oh, I like ice cream. So let's do that one more time, because I think I might have made a dumb mistake. -3 times -6 is 18. 18i plus 15i, that's 33i. Then -3i times -5i. So inner, outer, first, last, 15i squared. Now, 18 and 18 is 36. Minus 24i plus 33i. I do believe, if I'm thinking right, is plus 9i. And 6i squared plus 15i squared is 21i squared. But wait a minute. You've got to change the I squared. I squared is -1. So this goes from being positive 21i squared to -21. And 36 minus 21 is 15, and then plus 9i. Now you always write the real part first and the I second. So a complex number is always A plus BI. Now, what I recommend to my kids when I'm doing 3 of these things is do 2 of them first. Foil it, simplify it, then foil with the last term. If you try to do all 3, it just makes your brain hurt. So, first, that'd be -42. Outer, 6 times 4i is 24i. I hope I wrote this right, Patty. Sorry. Inner, that'd be plus 21i. And then minus 12i squared. Then I'll bring this down in a minute, just so kind of clean this up. So holy cheese, these are big numbers. So -42, this is 30. Let's bring it up here. 35i. And this would be plus 12. And then -42 plus 12 is -30 plus 35i. Oh my goodness. I don't have my calculator. So, oh goodness. So 2 minus 8i. Now, I shouldn't do this as a teacher. We're going to, right here. -30 times 2 is -60. 70i. Sounds like I'm a cool kid saying it. And then that's a plus 240i. Holy cheese. And then 35i. Uh-oh. Well, 2 times 35 is 70. times 4 is 280. So that would be minus, and I'm really getting sloppy here. I apologize, Dylan. I'm going to put that right up here. Minus 280i squared. Did I do that right? Twice times 35 is 70, times 4 is 280. So, okay, 70i plus 240i, that's 310i. And that's a plus. And then I squared is -1, so minus 280 times -1 would be plus 280, so that would be 220. -60 plus 280. Wow, those are huge numbers. You must be a smart kid. Some kids, once you leave your fingers, you have a hard time. Now, Patty, is there a chance I made a stupid math mistake in there? Yeah, there is. Because usually I do the problems first before I go on the video, and maybe I should have done that. And I hope I didn't get any of the numbers wrong. If I did, I apologize, Dylan. Well, I hope you have fun. And I hope I didn't make a mistake, because I will be so embarrassed. I hope I didn't. Did I make a mistake? I hope I didn't. Did I make a mistake? I hope I didn't. Well, anyways, have a good day.